So I did put myself in harm's way once in my life, and that was in an affair situation when I was with my other partner, my first, Scotty. And Scotty and I were together for 19 years. When I knew we were about to end, and I knew it was time, and I'm very intuitive, extremely intuitive, very connected with whatever, call it source, I don't know what it is, but I will know when something's about to happen before it happens.
Intuition.
Yeah. So I was in Italy, passed out, woke up, grabbed the phone, called Scotty. Hey Scotty, I'm calling because I just got this very interesting vibe. I don't know if it's true, I don't know what's going on, but is everything okay? He's like, hey, hold on, I'm just getting in the car. So anyway, long story short, I knew. One time, so I get home, I told him I didn't want to go to Greece because I had this yoga thing planned, and I was in Italy for yoga for almost a month doing the retreats. I do that every year. So I just returned home. Then 2 weeks later, it was time to go to Greece, and I did not want to go. I was going to cancel the trip, and I ended up going. Well, get to Greece. At the I'm crying like hell. Crying, MJ. I get to Greece. I'm there for the first week. Go on this crazy hike. I felt like I didn't walk it. The mountain hiked me. And by the time I got down, I not only went on this crazy hike, but I'd only taken like 20 euro with me. And that was 6 for the bus to get there, 6 to get in, that's 12. I didn't even realize 4 to eat a croissant. Now I had 6 left. What the fuck? And then I find out I've got to take a ferry back, which is 3. And now I got to wait 5 hours for the ferry on an island where I have 3 euro. What the fuck? And after crying that long for 4 hours down that hike, I thought, what the hell am I going to do with 3 euro? I didn't bring my card. I didn't bring anything. I was just devastated. So I rested, and it was dry. It was hot as hell. I was in hell. Finally, I timed it where, okay, I can go and at least sit in a cafe and get a cappuccino and maybe just keep drinking the water, right? Yeah. I can make that cappuccino last. Long story short, finally get back, take the ferry. David Williams, who was a teacher, a big teacher, is about 70 years old now. He and his wife were at the island, and he's like, hey, as soon as I got off the boat, he's like, hey, we just arrived, just wanted to greet you. And I said, hey, I'm not feeling well, but I'll try to meet up for dinner. So I go in, just try to gather myself, and that was how it was for that week. Then I get to the retreat, and I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. Now we're sitting around all of these people. Hi, how are you? Annette, nice to meet you. I wasn't teaching it. I was there participating with my friend David. Fast forward, you start meeting everyone. And then, there was a gentleman there, and his name was Adam. And we were just chatting. He's like, so you're married and da-da-da-da. And I looked at him and I said, you know what, Adam? You know what? No, I'm not married. Husband, my former partner and I, we were together for 16 years. We got a divorce in 2013 or 13. Tried to reconcile, and we've been off and on, not off and on, but we were together. But this recent bout, it feels like it's time, and no, I'm not married. And he just looked at me and said, wow, you're so honest. You are so honest. And I said, I couldn't look at you and lie. I'm done. I'm done with the lying. I'm done with the pretending. I'm done with somebody asking me, how do you feel? And me saying, actually,
were you
good.
Actually married?
No.
Oh, okay.
So we chatted, we hung out, no big deal with the group. Then I had to go. I had to get the hell out of there. I had to leave. And it was so hot. I broke out on this rash because it was my body telling me, get the fuck out of here. You need to go and deal with this. So I catch a flight to Berlin, go to Berlin, and I'm there in Berlin. And I meet a friend there who I met in the yoga retreat. She's a doctor. And I said, you know what? I'm going to come and visit you. One day I'll come over and visit. Well, before she left, because she'd only stay for the week, she's like, God, I wish I would have enrolled for 2. You're here for 2. And I said, well, you know what? I might cut my trip short. And if I do, I'll come visit you sooner. She's like, no way. Well, I did. So I go there and I hang out. I was going to be there for 4 days and then go back to London to catch my flight. Well, I couldn't. I called Scotty and it went accidentally. And this shit happens to me. Always happens. It goes accidentally.
Right on cue.
Yeah. So it goes accidentally to the voices. I can hear Scotty. I can hear him telling a story. And I know the type of story. I know that talk. It's not the message. Okay, yes, I heard him speaking to someone and I know that voice because he had an affair as well. And I thought, and look what he's doing. I can feel it. And I know, only way I know is because I know that. I know that voice that you tell when you're telling a story. And it's coming from ego. It's a story. We're telling our story. We're not selling something, but we're saying it in a manner to impress someone. And, it doesn't matter how sweet it is.
You're building a case, is what I
know
say.
it. Yep. And so he's delivering it. And I thought, hey, Scotty, he couldn't hear me. So then I heard her voice and he's just going on and about, the soccer club and all the blood, sweat, and tears that he put in. And I'm listening like, oh my God, here I am. My ego's now saying to myself, he's taking all the credit. And I thought, wow, that is where I am not. And that right there, I need to get out of this. Because when you interact with that type of energy and you lay your heart next to it, regardless, I was guilty too.
It's infectious.
But now it's time. I had to go. So I finally made it home. And I got home early, arrived home early, and then basically told him, it's time. It's time. I got to go. So I woke up the next day, grabbed my things, and I had to go. And I did not look back. I just bought this investment property, and it was difficult for him because he always saw how, if I saw something, that was another thing I'm very good at. I'm also, my intuition, I'm good at looking at situations, removing my emotion from it, looking at it from a, say, an investor's mind, and able to quickly, I can do it, make a decision. And if that situation is available, I'll make a deal, I'll make an offer right then and there. So instead of those people that go and put the time and the effort and doing this and doing that, I can do that as well.
Yeah.
But like me finding this place, I found it, I knew it, I put the offer in 30 minutes before final and best and got it. And they're like, okay, we'll be making some calls. And not even 5 minutes later, we got the call.
Nice.
And so this happened, same situation when I bought the investment property over on Patrick Circle by the Air Academy. And
well, what is your strategy on that? Like when you make offers, just not to sidetrack too much.
There were difference. This one was different than the other one. The other one, thank God, everybody's tummy was full. Yeah. All of the people and the investors and the moms and the pops and everybody, boyfriends and girlfriends, had already been flipping now, right?
Okay.
Everybody had they were satiated. Like they would love another deal, but now they were getting greedy. Like, no, I want it for 49. Okay. And it was like, it's 76. Give me a fucking deal. 76 is a great deal. Yeah. Buy it. I got it. And I bought. Nice. But I have an investor that I met through the yoga studio, who the yoga studio, he feels saved his life. He had cancer, felt like he could have gone any moment. And because of what he gained at the studio, he always wanted to give back to the studio. I couldn't accept it, but I was finally at a point in my life where I'm not a good receiver. Yeah. I'm not.
Neither am
I. I'm a giver.
Yeah.
But I was not a good receiver for a while, until maybe 3 years ago. 3 years. And then, so I'm still in my infancy. I'm still crawling with it. But I remember thinking, never look a gift horse in the mouth. And I said, hey, Jim, you know what? If I ever need it, I'll reach out. And then I did. And that's when I did, but it was for a property. And then I bought one. And then it was another.
Nice.
now I went, then another, and then another. So
It's a
that's how I
domino
do
effect.
it. Yeah,
Nice.
I
All
do
right.
it with the private bank, and then well, not I call him my bank,
Yeah,
but and I always paid off in about 3 years.
yeah.
So basically, I'm in Greece and meet this person who's like, "Wow, you're so honest." Fast forward, get home, hurricane hits, no electricity, so I have to stay, and I'm there with Scotty. And I said, once the electricity turns on, I'm going to go. And he was like, no, honey, don't go. Da, 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 da. Well, it came back on. It was time for me to go, and I left. So I went to the investment property, and it was not even clean. It wasn't anything. So I
Investment
struggled
property
with
in
that.
Greece, right?
No, and off Patrick Avenue by the Air Academy.
Okay.
So then I went back and forth to the condo in downtown Melbourne, then back to the other one, and I was just discombobulated because I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. I left, but I also left with nothing except for debt. Debt from the home that I just built, literally like this. I pulled it all apart, replumb, full every. If I showed you the pictures, you'd die. Anyway, I did it all, and then, but that was for Scotty, and I left the house. I think I put in my final bits of cash. I think I had like 25 grand, and I did all the expensive Spanish tile that you see out here, and finished it. But then there was still like 10 grand on a Home Depot card, and so I said, Scotty, it's in my name. I will assume that responsibility. I just need to stop. I need no connection. I need to cut the cord. And I don't want, he's like, no, I'll pay for that. And I said, it's not that I don't want you to, but what I don't want for myself is, hey, look, a phone call from Home Depot saying that a payment wasn't made, or say you change your bank account, or say your address changed, whatever. I just don't want, hey, Annette, and any explanation, so I will pay it. I didn't ask for alimony. There was joint accounts, didn't touch anything. Please, let's just change the account names. Let's sign off. I don't want to get out if you want, because he wouldn't sign off. I had to go, close the account, got them to write a check, put the check in the mailbox and said I dropped the check off. I don't want anything, and off I went. Out of the blue, I get this email. In this email, I will share this with you.
Yeah.
So I will share with you why I believe there are other people out there. And I feel that, I will always be okay. I know that in my heart. I know it. And the universe has always been good to me. And I believe in karma.
Yeah.
And so when I got back, an email came in from my friend from Greece. And I didn't read it or anything because I was technically going through the shit with Scotty, and I just didn't feel that it was appropriate. So then, that whole entire time, okay, September 9th, 2017. Let me see this. Hi, Annette. I so hope all is well with you. I have a little something for you, which I was going to drop in the actual mail today. With the storm coming your way, however, I think it best not to try mailing a package into the great unknown. I pray that this storm will roll right on by without doing any harm to you or anything or anyone that is important to you, or anything or anyone else for that matter. You did get to know me a little bit, so perhaps you realize that when I say I'm praying for that, it's not like some kind of overused expression or something. It means I am actually praying, me as a little things, that you'll get through this with ease. It really was a great pleasure to meet you in Crete. I so much appreciated the time you spent with me and the conversations we shared. I learned a lot from that, so thank you. I'm often torn when I find myself in this situation. You didn't really ask for me to share this with you. On the other hand, we had some spiritually deep conversations, and you showed great interest in the subject this package intends to address. With respect to this package, then, I suggest you use the Bruce Lee approach and absorb whatever you may feel is useful to you from it, while discarding whatever you may feel is not. I could have waited to send you this, I suppose, until after the storm has passed, but for some reason I'm compelled to share it digitally right now. It is odd the way certain things tend to happen for me. I did have in mind somewhere in the back of this little brain that is mine to make this tiny thing for you while in Crete. Once I returned here and regained my senses, the rest of it started taking shape. And then yesterday, I think it was, I was in my car in a huge parking lot and all the pieces came together in this mind. So I flipped on the cell phone recorder right then and there and recorded whatever came out of this mouth. When I listened back over it, I was pleased. It is a message custom made for you. Maybe, just maybe, it is something that's supposed to find its way to you at this moment in time. On the other hand, maybe not, laugh aloud. To help you follow along, the digital version of the spiritual care package contains the following. 1. A photo of the actual item that was made for you, which is currently wrapped as shown. Second, a photo of a bamboo, or at least it looks like bamboo anyhow, flash drive on which I've placed a kanji, Japanese character. The flash drive contains the verbal message you'll find attached to this email. The actual physical flash drive itself can also be used for meditation. It's pretty much blah, blah, blah. And then, and know also if you choose to use it for meditation that this guy, Adam, did his best to write it by hand for you on there. And it's been a long time, while since he's written any kanji, let me tell you, which is Japanese. Mm-hmm. Best to never trust anyone who refers to himself in third person. I usually find, by the way. Third is a little note written for you that goes with the package.
Say that again?
Yeah, he just wrote in parens that, in fact, the stone photo will go tomorrow, and the person who said there are no coincidences. What a coincidence? No. And then, let's see. Oh, he mentioned best never to trust anyone who refers to himself in third person. I usually find that, by the way. Fifth is an image of what is written on the back. It's written on the back of the one that is intended for you. And finally, you'll find a rather lengthy recording of, well, me saying a few things or seemingly endlessly droning on, depending on how one experiences it, specifically spoken for you to hear. The way it came out was, as I said, while in the car and very, very spontaneous. Usually I find these are some of the most valuable kinds of outpourings, but what in the heck do I really know? While you listen to the recording for the first time, you might choose to sit in meditation posture, etc. And then, so, I don't know, maybe just a little unusual activity from an unusual being for you to do while you ride out the storm. But in any case, thinking of you, appreciating you, and crafted and sent with all the very best and highest of intentions. Perfect peace, my friend. And then I was so not there.
Yeah.
Finally, I get settled. Fast forward, I finally respond. And I put, hi, Adam, how are you? I'm sure your girls were so excited to see you upon your return. Yes, 2 daughters. I was welcomed home by this crazy storm that swept our state. The power returned to full service at the studio on Saturday, but went out again early this morning. Thank you for the email and the fun pieces of creativity that accompanied it. I didn't realize there was a recording associated with the email until a couple days later. I started to read the email, and at that moment, we lost complete power due to the storm. There are no coincidences. I got to go meet the property manager. Let's keep in touch. Have a perfect day. And then he went on and on. But so we ended up chatting, and then there was nothing. I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to read books. No way could I read a book, how-to book, or this book or that book. Fuck that. I was too goal-oriented for that. Yeah. And my old self was way too stimulated to even be in that, because the wrong mind turns a book into a weapon. Yeah. And now I start only looking for signs I want to see, not really connecting with intuition. Yeah. And so I had to go that deep. And then anyway, he stayed in touch, but I couldn't even respond. And finally, a couple of months later, I responded. Then we connected and we talked. And then this person, he and I connected, highly into meditation, highly into everything. Turns out, well, I knew he was a lawyer, a trader, finance guru, and at the time was 2 years older than me, and into yoga, into meditation. And so he came over to visit, then invited me to go over and visit, and then and we connected. And then we connected in such a deep, profound way. I found my version of me.
Yeah.
And but he was ahead, like that little sound.
Yeah.
He was ahead of me, and I was still learning. But we have probably over 1,000 correspondences, video, audio, email, in-depth, love, connection, that you would go, what the fuck? Wow. People write about this, want it, dream about it. Then he and I did some ayahuasca together.
Uh-huh.
And but he is a mind. He's a sponge, and he's so in his head. And then he just got too intellectual, way too. And everything was all about this and that and absorbing and grabbing and getting and and I was like, whoa, I wasn't in that space. So we ended up taking some space. We were going to go to Mexico together, and then there was just so much like, whoa, he was feeling this and he was feeling that. And I said, hey, you should probably just chill. Just chill. Gotta go, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we connected, but we had this profound, deep connection where we could hang. And then I was like, he helped me catapult, and I helped him, and and then there was a pause. We didn't talk for months. And I thought, oh, no big deal. It was what it was. And then boom, I get a book in the mail. And then we talk like nothing happened. And then he comes into town. He's moving, and he ends up moving to Melbourne. We connect. We get married. He's like, Annette, look, I'm done. I'm
No
done with
fucking
everything.
way.
Well, listen. So he's like, Annette, let's get married. I forgot to tell you, he's from a billionaire family.
Yeah.
And so I shared with him, look, he just wants to get rid of his inheritance because they got him like Evan. Evan's wealthy too. And so they basically, when you come from a family like that, my father's well off. He came from nothing, but my dad does the same thing. And that's why we could connect with so much conversation, because we came from similar situations where our parents could try to manipulate you, not parents, but my father. Like, well, I'm not going to do this, you're not going to get that. And when you have that hanging over you, it's like fucked up. Kind of like, fuck it, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. So he was done with his family, said, give my inheritance to my sister. it opened up a can of worms. He moved here. He kept saying, Annette, let's get married, let's get married. And I said, we don't need to get married. I love you, but we don't need to get married. And then finally, he kept saying to me, why? For the first time, you could have everything. Why would you not even ponder it?
See, the universe. She's waiting.
Oh, okay. And I thought, you know what? Give me a second. Asking myself, okay, what are you scared? Are you afraid? Exactly. What is wrong? You know you deserve it. He deserves it. You guys love each other. It was clearly evident. We'd spent a lot of time together. We had traveled around together. And he's deep. I was deep. And then I thought, you know what, Adam? Let's do it. I'll do it. He's like, seriously? And I said, yes. Yes. It's not out of fear. I want you to know that I don't need to, but I mean, I would love to. And so we got married. So we buy a house, and we have to buy a house because we're staying at the freaking, that inn.
Sandy Shoes?
No, the one right up here on the corner.
Windermere Inn?
No, the French one.
Port de Hiver.
Port de Hiver. Yeah. And we've been there for almost 3 weeks now. Yeah. And so he was like, well, we either do that or we rent something, but let's try to keep it under 10 grand a month. So I thought, oh, we could easily find something for less than 10 grand a month. But that's how his mind worked, because that's the type of money we're talking about. Yeah. And so then we found something serendipitously. It was a property on Riverside. And then I said, no way, it's too big. It's too big. He's like, look, we have $2 million. We could do that. And I thought, too big. It's too big for you and I. And so then we accidentally turned down the street, and we found a little house. It wasn't little; it's 4,000 square feet. Yeah. But and I thought, oh my gosh! And I was like, this would do. And so we went in, and they were like, we haven't even put it on the market yet. We're like, great. We'll talk to the agent. Called Christy. She called them, and we said, okay, we'll put in the offer and close in 7 days. And they were like, what? We bought it in 7 days. We moved in. Yes. And so we chilled there, and we were there. And then because of the whole inheritance thing, he opened a can of worms, and then it was all about money. And we got to sign some paperwork. You now own a light company. You own a water company. You are now owner of a development company, and I don't want anything to do with it. I'm done. Let's just put it all in your name. I said, Adam, no. And so then he started to get scared. And he was like, look, in my world, if a woman does not sign paperwork, that's kind of like, you're going to leave me. Are you going to leave me? And I said, no, I'm not going to leave you. But I can't guarantee I'm not going to leave you. But on the same note, I don't need to be an owner of all of that.
That's a ton of responsibility.
And I said, no way, I don't need that. Yeah. But we don't have to do anything. It's just the money would be coming in. And then the fear, and there was so much fear. And I thought, wow, what is going on, Adam? Fast forward. At that point, we talked, and I said, look, it seems to me that you're really scared about some things. And so I said, look, we can just dissolve this. We can dissolve it. And he was like, well, how about this then? How about if I give you $1 million? We give you $1 million, keep the house. I said, Adam, no, I don't want $1 million. I don't want $1 million. I'll keep the house, but not the $1 million. And I'll continue on the journey. And he said, yes. And I told him the day I met him, I had a dream. And I told him, I said, look, I had a dream about you. I don't know how long we're going to be together. This is before we even were friends. I said, I don't know how long we're going to be together, but you're an angel, and there's two of you. There's not just one. and one of them was trying to give me a message, and the other one was standing over me, and I wasn't scared, but I could feel the intensity. I said, look, and he's like, look, let's help. I want to help you. I want to help you. So I swear to God, that was an angel situation that came into my life and helped. And just like that, we sat down, we talked, and made dinner, made lunch, made breakfast, gave him a kiss goodbye, and poof.
And he's gone.
Gone.
No way.
Then
No way.
I have to dot the I's and cross the T's.
That is crazy.
We went, dissolved it at the courthouse, and gone. So.
Have you ever heard from him ever again? Like to this day?
I wouldn't. No, that was 2019. We got married.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly thereafter, 3 months later, we dissolved it. And then fast forward 6 months later, 7 months later, Jeff was at the house with the hurricane. And that's when he came out and said, I'm feeling this way, blah, blah, blah. How would you feel if I told you that I really would like to get to know you? And da-da-da-da-da. And I said,
no.
Sure.
Way.
And I sent him a recording and said, look, Jeff, all I can share with you is if I didn't do at least 50% of the work, I would not have said yes. I don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to unfold, but I'll share with you this. I will show up and be there every day, and I will watch me. You watch you, I will watch me. And that's how we...
No way.
So, yeah. But I feel, so I had a beautiful opportunity.
I have to revisit some stuff.
I had such a beautiful opportunity to be with somebody, I swear to God, godlike. This was not a normal
What was in
person.
the care package?
Oh, here.
Yeah, I was blown away by what was in it.
Okay, right here. Here. This is the Koji. This is the writing. He wrote that.
Yeah.
And it's a hard drive. And on the hard drive, I'll press play in a second. Number two, he and his daughter, he didn't just do this for me. He did this for about all of the people on the yoga retreat.
Yeah.
He grabbed rocks from Crete, and then he put them together. And where we were on Crete, we were on a little place that had 3 rocks, Tria Petra, and that's what that was, 3 rocks. And so in the ocean, our place was here. In the ocean, you could see the 3 rocks coming out of the water. Yeah, so it was really pretty. And then this is the recording. Let's see.
He hand delivered that. It's what you said, right? He said
he sent it by mail.
Oh,
because of the storm. He didn't want to send it at that particular time because of the storm and it not arriving. So here.
Annette, it is I, Adam. I'm thinking of you back home and readjusted to my little physical life here, away from the cloud of Crete. And I want to thank you. I appreciated spending a little bit of time with you, getting to know you a little bit, and I learned a lot from you and from talking with you. So while we were hanging out on the beach one day,
So that's pretty much it. And then he goes in, and in there is the actual meditation. There was, so basically, we got to like work on spiritual practice. Oh my God, for the very first time, making love with somebody, I made love.
Yeah.
It
was a complete connection.
Cosmic.
Yeah.
Cosmic. I didn't have to say, oh, a little to the right, a little to the left, or I didn't ever want to say anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I have never felt so here, so now. So everything was growing. And I mean, when I went to visit with him, he said, look, can I take you somewhere? We went to get rings. And I said, he's like, and so we had these black, before everybody had the black rings, there were the black titanium rings. And I said, well, you know what, this is kind of like, there was an old cartoon, I don't know if you remember this, but the Wonder Twin Powers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Wonder Twin Powers activate. And so I kind of made a little joke about that. And we just connected in a way that was unbelievable. So here, check this out. This is all on, it's crazy.
I close my eyes.
You've just woken up.
Lost in the spirit world.
Oh, we just meditated.
Found in the spirit. With you right there with me. I'm thinking of you. I open my eyes. Back to this world. Thinking of you. With all that goes on, you are magical elixir of life, my friend. A rainbow, the sunshine, the moonlight, the flow. Beautiful presence to remain connected to light up this life.
Everything, absolutely. There is no coincidence. And I have been shying away from recording audio things.
Look at this.
And I have those thoughts all the time. And it's amazing that, like, so I have a crazy story where, just a short story, is that I was on the beach on Boardwalk.
Mm-hmm.
And some homeless guy that I've never met before. And this was before, so when I struggle with alcoholism, I've had so many warnings that I ignored, that it was like, listen, you're fucking your life up.
Mm.
Put away the booze.
Mm.
Ignored it. Got burned. I got a DUI.
Mm.
Put the booze away. You're fucking your life up. I got a second DUI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put the fucking booze away, Michael. And then I always say this, so the story was, I was about 19 years old on Boardwalk. Some homeless guy never met me and said, you are going to die one day, Michael. Stood completely up, looked me dead in my eyes, said, you're going to die one day, Michael. Never met this guy. The significance of not the part that he told me to die, was that he knew who I was. Mm-hmm. And he looked like he had a drinking problem. This was at 19 years old. And this is something that I reflected on, in a while. And then so I have 3 DUIs. There's a loophole, though, Annette, that I went through, that legally, because when I got my second DUI, I had bonded out of jail, right? And within the 30 days of my trial date from my DUI, I got my 3rd DUI. So then, because of my 3rd DUI, they had charged me with a felony for it, so I was mandatory having to do 30 days in jail, right? Mm-hmm. In there, I pled out to the 3rd DUI. right? Because I pled to the third DUI without going on trial for the second one, like this is my divine purpose on what I had to, the message that I had to receive was within the walls of Brevard County Jail. And I had to see my complete rock bottom from something that was stemming from 2010 when I captured my first DUI. But from 19 years old, when that guy told me it, the first alcoholic beverage that I had, I just remembered this a year ago, was when I was 19 years old. The guy, it wasn't, I don't remember well enough to say that when that homeless guy said that, was it before or after?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember so vividly that guy just, you're going to die one day, Michael. And then I was like, oh, that was weird, you know? And that's all I thought about. It was weird. But how the hell did he know my name?
Yeah.
Then, so when I was in jail, I met a young kid who was addicted to heroin, right? And in the jail, you were stuck with someone, and I was telling him, he's like, what the hell are you doing in here? And I was like, I'm just a fucking drunk. Like, you know, and I was telling him, he's like, what are you doing here? And then so he's like, I was like, I'm just a fucking drunk. And then I was like, I have a fucking family out there, you know? And then so like, and everyone has all these interesting stories. So this kid, he was addicted to heroin. And then he was like, you know what? He's like, I'm down and out. And then he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do once I get out of here. And then I was like, I already knew what I had to do. It was like, I have to stop fucking drinking.
Yeah.
And then everyone in there, right, was not being honest with themselves about why they were there.
Right.
Outside, like, I had to look at, how did you get 2 DUIs in less than 30 days? It's because I was a fucking drunk. And then I was like, the only reason why I'm here is that I didn't kill anyone, right? I didn't hurt anyone. I wasn't like violently. I didn't have any drugs. Like it was just, I was drinking. My second DUI in that, I passed out at the fucking wheel. No, second DUI, I allegedly ran a stop sign. I always say allegedly. I didn't. That was my lesson that I had to learn. I had to pick Rebecca's daughters up. And they said I ran a stop sign. Then they pulled me out of the car because they thought they smelled alcohol, which they completely did, right? And then so, because I was a fucking drunk. I was constantly, always drinking. I was a toxic mess. I ended up finding out why I was such a drunk, you know? And then what was I hiding from? And then, but it really wasn't just the sexual abuse I was telling you about. The other thing that was holding me back the most was in 2010, I had started the same business that I have now, right? And it was flourishing. I had 8 clients, including John Walsh was one of my clients in Orchid Island down there. And then, huge, super successful business. Then I had the studio. I was teaching all the golfers. And then I was working my way on to Johns Island. Had a high-rise condo in Ocarina. It was the pinnacle of everything that I was working for since I was 22. And then I was working on it, and I was at my ascent. It was 27. It was 5 years in the making. I was on top of the world. For whatever reason, I got that DUI chasing 2 girls, and I just still remember this because living down there was where I was supposed to be. Like, everything about it was perfect for me. The only thing I had to do, like what most people at 27 years old wouldn't like about living down there, is that there's nothing to fucking do.
Yeah.
But I was a fucking drunk in that.
Yeah.
I needed not to do
Exactly.
anything.
Yeah.
I left my blanket. The only thing I had to do was leave Ocarina and take a right. The guy who hired me at the studio in the Atlantic, Michael McAllister, he told me, because he was also a drunk that I didn't know. This is why there's no such thing as coincidences. He took me.
That's written. Coincidences was our first title of our
audio.
email.
Yeah.
It is. Look.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer
I said that
in
to
that.
him in Greece. There are no coincidences.
Like, there's no such thing as a coincidence. I believe in irony. Like, it's just ironic that this happened this way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that, like, just because we're not in control of it,
Mm-hmm.
that's the irony, is
Yeah.
that, I never would have thought that's how this message was
Yeah.
received.
Yeah.
And then, so, like, once I went to jail, I was talking to the kid who was addicted to heroin. And he was like, so did you learn anything from anything that you did, right? And I was like, the first thing that I realized is that I was like, I've never had anyone in my entire life hold me accountable, ever, for anything that I have ever done in my entire life. Tons of people would point their finger, but nobody, like, still, no one has ever held me accountable for anything. And I was like, man, that first DUI, I wasn't held accountable for it. The second DUI, they gave me bond. The third one was like, dude, sit down somewhere and get your shit the fuck together, right? And then it's like, my middle son was really fucking, like, he was 6 months. And then, so because it was 3 DUIs, Annette, this is like, even the person that you know right now, it was still crazy that I was terrified that because it was 3 DUIs, and this is what I spent the first 30 days thinking about. All the other guys, the heroin addicts, and then all the drug dealers and things like that was in there because it was a felony. 3 DUIs is a felony. Mm-hmm. And then so they put me in there with other felons. I'm just this mild, a felony drunk, And then so it's like, so I was listening to these people's story, and then I was like, man, what the fuck am I going to do? And then there's like, man, with 3 DUIs, you know what the mandatory minimum is for that? It's a minimum of 3 years in state prison. Wow. So, yes. So my son was 6 months old. Micah was 2 years old, 2.5 years old, right? And I was like, you mean, like, and I'm here today. Like, no coincidence, me telling the story, reflecting on it now, my son would have been, like, I would have just been released from prison.
Right now.
If I did not get both those DUIs in less than 30 days.
Yeah.
And then and it was like, because what would have happened if I would have bonded out again and then would have went and I didn't leave. Rebecca and I had gotten to this massive fight. Mm-hmm. When I tell you this, I don't want you to think that I'm withholding it. I'm like full transparency.
Yeah.
Like, I have no blockage. Rebecca and I were not doing too well. Regardless of anything that I would say about our relationship, I looked at it in the past, at all the excuses that I made. Mm-hmm. The reflection that I made on myself is that I had to repair myself first, like, especially once I returned. Like, even when I was in jail and she was coming to visit me, I was like, hey, listen, the day before I got that 3rd DUI, she caught me in bed with another woman. Right? Mm-hmm. After 6 months ago, she gave birth to my 2nd child. Right? Mm-hmm. Total piece of shit. I know it. Mm-hmm. I'm a better person. Then it's like, so the last thing I said to her, it was like, I'm just going to go to a fucking Airbnb. And I drove the girl back home because I drove her to our house. Mm-hmm. Our kids were gone. Right? Yeah. And then so I drove her to her house, and for some no coincidence. Yeah. Rebecca decided to come home for lunch from work, and there I was, being a dirtbag. Yeah. And then when that happened, so it was not only was I going to go to prison for 3 years, it was the woman who has my children may not let me see them ever again, because this was the last thing that was seen and done. Yeah. Then it was like, then she had, I gave her my phone because I had to give her access to my money so we could take care of our kids while I was in there, And then so she was like, she went through everything. Every fucking fucked up thing that I've ever fucking done just came completely to the fucking surface. Like, it was there, and it was not only, I learned one of the hardest things that I learned from those guys. So I even mentor guys who are at the Seaton mission. I go and I talk to them about the way that I navigated and turned my entire life around. Mm-hmm. Like, and I was like, you think that your only setback is yourself. And I was like, you can't fix everything. And I was like, nothing's going to be fixed. Like, there's still relationships that I still have to repair that I haven't even gotten to yet. But I'm also not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's because I'm still not out of the woods on my relationship yet. I'm still in I did a fucked up thing outside of just the drinking. And it was like, I cheated on the woman who I have 3 kids with now. And that's something a woman never recovers from. It's something that a human being doesn't recover from. It's just that whole thing. It's like, there's still that. And there's still like me. I've made peace with that. There's no more trust.
Yeah.
Like, the trust is just not there. And whether that be the biggest proponent of like our headbutt things that we do, and no matter how well kept I think I am emotionally, and then trying to make bondage with it, is I'm also aware that she doesn't owe me shit.
Yeah.
Like, she absolutely owes me nothing.
Yeah.
And I do know that. Like, and it's like, I'm not asking for her to forgive me or forget about it.
Right.
It's, can we make this work every day? It's like, can we make this work? Can we make this work? And then in my world, I think that I spent 3 years repairing everything. And it doesn't matter how many years that it was.
Yeah.
But I had the time to reflect. Like, if I didn't do that time, if I didn't sit there, like, I'm someone who is so thankful that I had to do that. And I reflected on everything that led me up to that point. And it was not only depression, it was that first DUI when I thought that my life was headed in the right direction. I was chasing some girls that I met at Off the Tracks when I was drinking way too far fucking away from South Melbourne Beach that I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I should have stayed home. And I was going out. I was single. I wasn't being a dirtbag then. It was just, well, maybe I was, probably, not sure. But then it's that I drove all the way up there. My brakes failed in my car. In the first DUI, my brakes failed right in front of a cop. I spun out, turned the wheel, and hit the telephone pole. And that's how. And then I found out that not only, this is the story that's even crazier from that first DUI, is that I was driving a Toyota Camry, a 2000 Toyota Camry. And so it was a 10-year-old car. Then it turns out that Toyota had a factory default on brakes that year, right? I had that vehicle. The entire warranty was null and void because I was drunk while doing it. And it was like all of these things. There is no coincidence. I bought that car. And like, it was 3 years old. I bought it in 2007. It was a 7-year-old car. I bought it when I came back from Turkey. And then I bought it. And then I was like, oh man. And I was like, this is a good car. And I was like, oh man, I chose the car. That brakes failed. That gave me my DUI. And then I was like, I'm grateful for all of it.
Yeah,
like, you can see me smiling about it now.
No, I agree.
Is that like, I'm so grateful that, because what I'm more grateful for is that I hurt no one except Rebecca. I still say I hurt Rebecca. I may have let my roommate down when I got the DUI because I had to pull out because I lost a bunch of shit when I did it. I lost clients because I couldn't be there, and then so it's like I may have let him down, but I never asked him for forgiveness. I just reconnected with him, was talking to him, and I apologized to him. And I was like, hey, man, I don't think I ever really told you that when we lost that place. Like, were you all right, man? Like, I never even checked on you. And I was like, and this was just like a year ago when I did it. Like, and that was 2010. That was 10 years fucking later. Like, that's like, and it was like, and the one regret that I have, but I hate saying that I regret it, is I'm grateful. I'm not even grateful for it. It's just that I wish, although I'm comfortable with that has come and gone, I wish that I had reconciled those things sooner, but then the reason why I made peace with it is that I was in no fucking place
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah.
I would have been such a bullshitter
Yeah.
on it and things like that. I would have been apologizing for things, not knowing it, would have went to go hit the booze, would have been hanging out all the time. And then I was like, so when I was in there, I ended up analyzing that I had an uncomfortable relationship with booze. No one has ever held me accountable for it. The only thing that I was surrounding myself with was people who were just as fucking broken as I was in it. And I realized that I'm not pointing fingers at it. I don't go back and I don't tell those people about like, hey, you know what, you may have a problem, you know, because this is what I did. This was my experience. And I realized that you never held me accountable, blah, blah, blah. And it's not that they never, I'm not even blaming them for not holding me accountable. It's just that people who are in the same place as you are assumes that you're going to be just as okay as they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, man, dude, it's 10 a.m. I can smell whiskey on your breath, you know? And then it's like, dude, do you have to be drunk right now? It was, dude, you want to go to the bar at 10 a.m.? There was a bar that, like, I was going drinking at a bar, like, on Babcock that was open at 7 a.m. Open at 7 a.m.
People were in there.
Me. 4 times a week. Yeah, 4 times a week. Yeah, selling cars, drunk. I was test driving Infinities, wasted in it. Complete, like I dodged. So even when I got my third DUI, had to jump through all my legal hoops and things like that. And I learned so much on that fucking journey. Like so much. Like, I went to this DUI 2 course. And one of the ladies there who was a speaker was saying that one of the most brilliant things, and it's still, and I tell some of my friends it just because I was like, listen, you know, I don't tell anybody about like my journey on recovery too much because I don't want to feel like I'm preaching to you, you know? And it's like, but I want to tell you what this lady said one time, and it almost made me fucking cry. Like when she said it, and she was like, because her daughter was killed at 9 years old by a drunk driver, right? And so she came in, and then she was like, everyone always complains, I have 3 DUIs, right? And I told you, right? And she goes, but no one ever takes gratitude on the times they were never caught. And then I was like, and then she goes, how many DUIs do you really have? And then I go, I have too fucking many to remember. And I almost want to cry now because like I told her it and I apologized to her and I hugged her. And then I was like, I'm sorry. Like, even though I feel like I contribute to a culture that took this woman's like daughter from her, you know? And then so it's like even when I get there, I can't, it's like, I feel it. And it's like, I was so reckless and so careless, you know, that like, I didn't give a fuck about nobody but myself. Like, it was the hugest ego thing that I couldn't even it didn't even grasp me that like, I didn't give a shit about my 2 sons.
We need to do this.
Yeah.
And I tell you, because that's what I learned from, you had that, I had mine, and there's a male, not that we're different, we're all white, but you know, there's a male perspective, there's a female perspective, there's success in your business, there's success in my business, there are failures on my side, there are failures on your side. We're real. And that right there is something to incorporate life, the spirituality, the mental, the physical, all of it. I think I haven't seen that yet. I've been a part of a yoga studio in the industry for over 16 years, but prior to that, even longer, and went and studied abroad and like tried to figure out what made those studios successful. I was that brain that had to absorb. But I think between what you have and I have, we can actually do podcasts and share this information. And I don't think it's preaching.
No.
I think it's sharing, and only those like-minded people.
Maybe you know who says this. It's, you can't heal what you refuse to reveal. Is it? No, yeah, but that's one of my favorite. I'll look it up later and I'll text it to you. But that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and then to just like I didn't know love like this.
Yeah.
I never ever experienced it, but
I just
got
can't
a
believe
taste.
they disappeared.
I got a taste of it. And now, granted, could we rekindle? Could we connect? Could that ever come back?
Will it come back?
It could.
I know.
It could. But I'm in a